And we're starting off today with Raw, which opened with a massive brawl ensuing, one that first featured Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler before Raquel Rodriguez arrived to get some payback on Jax. Amidst the commotion, Raquel also took out Baszler, and things quickly broke down after that, and the three were quickly joined by the returning Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley. Ripley also got physical and would end up standing tall in the ring while Baszler, Jax, and Rodriguez brawled up the ramp, and Ripley had plenty to say after this fight. The champ was disappointed in her Dom for losing the NXT North American title at No Mercy, and was warned that he wouldn't be allowed to come home if he didn't win the title back in his rematch on this week's WWE NXT. In fact, Ripley expressed her disappointment at the faction's recent issues, which have seemed to only increase in the couple of weeks she has been out of action. It was also stated that Damian Priest was not medically cleared to compete on Raw, with the nature of his injury not being known at this time, and that Finn Balor is also out injured. What followed was a confrontation with Jey Uso, and after Jey superkicked Mysterio, JD McDonough hit the ring to assist Mysterio and help deliver a beatdown on main event Jey. The beatdown caught the attention of Cody Rhodes, and he hit Mysterio with Crossroads, which clearly left an impression on Adam Pearce. Pearce announced that at Fastlane, Damian Priest and Finn Balor will defend their tag titles against Rhodes and Jey, a match the Judgment Day weren't happy about. The tension building in the Judgment Day has been handled well, but now that Ripley is back, they can really kick the storyline into gear, and by the end, fans probably forgot who was actually brawling at the start of the show. Cody Rhodes would have another grand promo during Raw, but really, all he had to say was that he and Jey Uso would be on this Friday's SmackDown. Other than that, this just felt like an excuse to squeeze in a Rhodes promo, and given that his entrance lasted longer than his promo, it definitely came across as unnecessary. Rhodes and Uso on SmackDown could have been explained with a 30-second video package, but we got plenty of the American Nightmare last night. This week's Raw was the first since the signing of Jade Cargill was announced, and the former AEW TBS champion had a cryptic message during the show. During a brawl that opened Raw, Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley made a statement by taking out Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, and immediately after the brawl, Jade tweeted, "Just standing next to me is a blessing, so let me help you out, my first victim, #WWE Raw." Could Jade be teasing their first victim will be one of these three women? It's possible, and the hype around her arrival continues to only grow bigger. Nobody knows if Cargill will be on Raw or SmackDown, but the consensus is that she'll be skipping NXT, and expect plenty more hype around Cargill before she makes her debut on WWE TV. On Raw, Becky Lynch was spotted wearing a cast due to her injuries from NXT No Mercy, which includes 11 stitches in her arm after a deep laceration during her Extreme Rules match. Shortly before Raw, it was announced that due to medical issues, Lynch wouldn't be facing Tegan Nox as previously advertised, and they had an interaction backstage. Lynch told the Welsh star that she wouldn't want to face her if she wasn't 100% anyway, and that when she is cleared, Nox better be ready for a fight. Nox didn't seem too disappointed, and after meeting Adam Pearce, had a match with Women's Tag Team Champion Chelsea Green made official. During the match, it appeared that Nox was going to be the victim of a 2-on-1 assault by Green and Piper Niven before Natalya made the save and ensured the young superstar wasn't beat. Post-match, Nox and Natalya embraced, much to Nox's confusion, as Natalya has been working as a heel recently after becoming the first challenger for Becky Lynch's NXT Women's title. Natty's heel run continued when she belittled Tegan Nox last week, resulting in a match between the two that Nox would emerge victorious. It appears that a new alliance has now been formed between the two women, and Natty could take Tegan under her wing on WWE Raw. As for Lynch, the NXT Women's Champion is being promoted for tonight's NXT, and it'll be interesting to see what's in store after her victory over Tiffany Stratton. It was also confirmed that she will defend the NXT Women's title against Tegan Nox on next week's Raw, after their match couldn't take place this week. But for Nox and Natalya, their pairing is a slightly odd one. And do you think Natalya will remain face on Raw? Sound off in the comments. Now, after weeks of Seth Rollins demanding a rematch, Shinsuke Nakamura agreed to face him in a last man standing match at this Sunday's Fastlane. During this week's Raw, Rollins was interviewed by Michael Cole and addressed his love for wrestling and why he's going to be a fighting champion at Fastlane. Nakamura then appeared on the Titantron and accused Seth of feigning a back injury for sympathy from fans, and as the video played, Nakamura attacked Rollins from behind. After Nakamura hit the Kinshasa and used a steel chair, the Nakamura on the Titantron started the 10 count, and Rollins was able to get up before being attacked again with another Kinshasa. Rollins couldn't make the 10 count, and this assault puts Seth's reign in grave jeopardy as he heads into one of the biggest matches of his career. Will this Sunday mark the start of a Nakamura world title reign, or will Seth find a way to retain? Let us know in the comments. Now, in the closing moments of AEW Wrestle Dream, Adam Copeland debuted for the company with his iconic Metalingus music and would fend off Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne's attack on Darby Allin and Sting. Copeland's debut marks the end of his lengthy WWE career as Edge, and on Twitter, the Rated R superstar shared a lengthy statement thanking WWE for all they have done for him. Copeland pointed out that it was in WWE where he'd meet his future wife Beth Phoenix, and explaining his exit, said that he feels like he and WWE had simply outgrown each other. While Copeland wanted to do more, WWE didn't have much more for him to do, but said he'd still be supporting WWE and his friends, and said he doesn't buy into tribalism mentality in wrestling. Copeland reminded people that wrestling is supposed to be fun, something fans should remember, and said that no matter where he's at, he'll be working as hard as he can every time he competes. Copeland concluded that this ride isn't over yet, and is eager to do plenty with AEW, and with Tony Khan confirming he'll be a full-time talent, expect plenty of the Rated R superstar. According to Fightful Select, the reception to Copeland joining AEW has been unanimously positive based on conversations with a number of AEW sources. The report noted that Copeland is expected to have a significant presence within AEW after expressing interest in helping out in a number of capacities. A longtime AEW talent spoke with Fightful about Copeland filling the gap in the company that CM Punk left behind, with this talent acknowledging that Punk had been helpful to many within the company during his AEW tenure. Another AEW talent told Fightful that while they weren't officially in the know, Copeland joining AEW was the worst-kept secret in wrestling. Fightful also noted that some within WWE said that it had become obvious to them early on in the summer that Copeland was going to leave WWE when his contract was up. The report noted that sources that had worked with Copeland would speak as if it was a fact that he was jumping ship as early as August, before his final WWE match against Sheamus on August 18th was announced. Fightful stated that sources they spoke with noted that Copeland left WWE on good terms and would be welcomed back to WWE if he chose to return. The report ended by noting that the overwhelming consensus was that those within WWE are, quote, happy for him. In the post-show media scrum, Tony Khan announced Copeland's first AEW opponent and what date that match will take place. Khan stated that Copeland will appear on Dynamite this coming Wednesday, October 4th, Collision this Saturday on October 7th, and will have his debut match on the Title Tuesday edition of Dynamite, October 12th. That match will be against one of the three men he confronted at Wrestle Dream, Luchasaurus. Khan mentioned that Copeland is full-time in AEW and will be wrestling regularly. During the same post-show media scrum, Adam Copeland commented on the possibility of working with his wife in AEW, saying, "I mean, anytime I get to be close to Beth, obviously I'm gonna be super excited about that. I don't know about the possibilities of that in the foreseeable future, but I love being around her obviously, and we've had a blast when we did get to work together. But where she will be instrumental without everyone knowing it is, she's my sounding board. So if you see me doing something, or you see something that you think worked, it was always bounced off of Beth, and then she always gives me better ideas back. It's kind of amazing to be married to a Hall of Famer. It's pretty cool who can suplex you." Reacting to Edge's AEW debut, Phoenix tweeted a note that he'd left her, saying he was just leaving to take the dog for a walk, but also cleverly spelling out AEW. Copeland's AEW debut not only surprised wrestling fans, AEW talent, but also Warner Brothers, as Sean Ross Sapp noted that Warner Brothers Discovery contacts he spoke to hadn't been informed that Adam Copeland was on his way, and that they appreciate the surprise. When asked about Adam Copeland, TNT champion Christian Cage said he was surprised, but does not care that Copeland is in AEW. Well, this is obvious that Christian is playing his heel persona here, but it is certain that he is happy that his best friend is All Elite. In recent weeks, WWE NXT has been promoting the arrival of a mysterious new character, one who has been seen watching TV shows in a dark room. Fans have quickly figured out that this is Brian Pillman Jr., as several clips relate to his father, while others make reference to being a second-generation wrestler, and now we have confirmation. While WWE are trying to keep the mystery going, the USA Network has put out an article confirming that this is Brian Pillman Jr., who has been appearing in the vignettes. The network called it another savvy signing and said that Pillman is following in the footsteps of Jade Cargill, though avoided mentioning which company both recently worked for. As for when Pillman would appear in person, that remains to be seen, and while WWE may have weeks of more mysterious vignettes planned, it'll be hard to keep the mystery going thanks to the USA Network's blabbing. Recently, rumors sparked online that Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were experiencing problems in their marriage, with some even stating that the pair were on the verge of a divorce if they hadn't already. As we've previously stated, these rumors are rumors without any hard evidence, with fans pointing to Shawn Michaels liking a tweet bashing Stephanie as proof of a divorce. It has since been clarified that Michaels doesn't run his Twitter account, and that this like was a slip of the thumb, and that he has nothing but love and respect for Stephanie as a person and as a professional. During his Click This podcast, Kevin Nash addressed the rumors that Triple H's marriage is on the rocks and revealed that he has spoken to his close friend about what is being claimed. He said, "I text Paul, I said, 'You okay? Everything alright? I'm here if you need anything.' He's just like, 'What's happening in my life?' I said, 'Social media says that you're splitting with Stephanie and you guys are getting a divorce.' He responds to me, 'I wish somebody would have told me that before I get dragged to this JV football game and my girl's cheerleading.' He says, 'I just love to find out about what's going on in my life through the internet.' I'm sure that probably would upset me, because he finally probably has a day off where it's family time, and it's just like, no man, some troll's gonna fuck with you on your off day." Stephanie and Triple H tied the knot for real in 2003, and will be celebrating their 20th wedding anniversary later this month, despite what some false reports by trolls would have you believe. Back to Raw, and the main event of last night's show saw Intercontinental Champion Gunther defend against Tommaso Ciampa, and with WWE giving the last half hour of the show, the pair had plenty of time to work. Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci did not stay at ringside, leaving Gunther to go it alone, and Ciampa came out of the gate strong before Daring General took control. Ciampa was the smaller man in the fight, but never truly felt like an underdog because of how aggressive he was, which is just one of the many things that makes him fun to watch. After a long and competitive match, Gunther won with a sleeper hold to retain his title in the clear match of the night between two guys known for great performances. Post-match, Kaiser and Vinci emerged to deliver a beatdown, but that's when Johnny Gargano made his TV return, saving his DIY teammate, and the pair hit their DIY tag team finisher on Kaiser. Ciampa had been searching high and low for Gargano for months to no avail, and this whole storyline on Raw was a change of pace from how things are usually done. WWE rarely ever does a contract signing the same night as the title match, so this felt unique and almost spontaneous, and fans of the show will have been happy to get the title match last night. We're wondering why WWE didn't keep this match for Fastlane as had been previously reported, and it appears that moving the match to Raw was a last-minute call. WWE likes to keep PLE cards short, and this could be a reason behind putting this title match on Raw rather than Fastlane, but whatever the case, all those involved more than delivered this week. Drew McIntyre was on Raw to explain his attitude in recent weeks and said that he doesn't owe an explanation to anyone on the roster, but does owe one to his fans. McIntyre said he's tired of being everyone's savior and getting in fights he didn't start, and given that this was supposed to be a Miz TV segment, the A-lister showed up and wasn't happy. Miz ranted about what McIntyre did to him last week, and this quickly turned into a fight that ended with Drew taking out Miz. Returning from commercials, fans saw a ref calling for the bell, and despite Miz's efforts to avoid fighting in his suit, McIntyre caught him and slammed him into the barricade and apron. McIntyre got the win, but in a dirty way, as he slammed Miz into the exposed turnbuckle before hitting the Future Shock DDT, giving McIntyre a decisive, if not predictable, win. Like most matches on Raw, McIntyre's win wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything special, but it was rather just there, but at least his pre-match promo helped build his new character. Considering his recent actions on Raw and his recent TikTok, which showed an intense McIntyre working out to his heel Broken Dreams theme, it's certain that WWE are turning McIntyre heel. With that said, defeating The Miz, even in a dirty way, made him appear more like a babyface, so maybe WWE has ditched plans for a fully fledged turn. More from Raw, and in what feels like his first televised match in a long time, Cedric Alexander faced Bronson Reed on Raw, and though his lack of entrance signified a squash match, that wasn't entirely the case. Cedric was able to get plenty of offense in early in the match before Reed took him down with a senton, and finished him off with a top rope tsunami. This wasn't really a squash match, but it was pretty close, which is a shame as Alexander is a great talent, but WWE barely does anything with him, and expect that to continue now that Shelton Benjamin is gone. As for Reed, a manager could be what's needed to push him to the next level, perhaps MVP, but we'll have to wait and see what's next for the Australian. With Eric out injured and Valhalla nowhere to be seen, Ivar was all alone when he took on Xavier Woods in a match that the New Day star won. After what looked like a botched powerbomb in the corner, Ivar attempted a moonsault that Woods would dodge, but the victorious Woods would be attacked by an irate Ivar after the match. Ivar would also take out Kofi Kingston after what was a decent match, but without Eric, this all feels like filler until everyone is back. Raw also saw Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci in action, with the pair earning a victory over Chad Gable and Otis. WWE has seemingly taken Gable out of the IC title hunt for now, with Ciampa going for the gold and Bronson Reed rumored, but with this match, it's safe to say WWE isn't finished with Imperium and the Alpha Academy. So that was this week's Raw, and the show really only had a handful of matches worth watching if you didn't see the show live, but the non-wrestling segments did a decent job of building up the Fastlane card. Gunther vs. Ciampa was the match of the night, but Alpha Academy vs. Kaiser and Vinci was a solid entry too, and this week's Raw was one that Imperium will look back on fondly. The segment between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins stood out thanks in part to Nakamura's excellent sense of timing with the Nakamura who was on the Titantron. As a whole, this week's show was down the middle, but that tends to be how a lot of the go-home shows are before a premium live event like Fastlane. Back to AEW, as this week's Dynamite will be a monumental show following last weekend's epic Wrestle Dream event, which saw the debut of Adam Copeland. Copeland will appear on Dynamite to give his mission statement, but much more could be in the works for tomorrow evening's show. During Being the Elite, Matt Jackson spoke about this week's Dynamite in Denver and said that a little bit of a surprise is in store for the show, but gave no clues as to what it'll be. Wrestle Dream has been touted by many as the start of a new era for AEW after a complicated past 13 months, and what surprise would you like to see on this week's episode of Dynamite? Whatever surprise Matt Jackson has in store, it won't be the arrival of any WWE superstars who were recently released from WWE, as they are waiting out their non-compete clauses. Despite appearing in NXT, Mustafa Ali had a main roster contract when he was released, and WWE had some long-term plans in the works for the ex-superstar. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that WWE had a long-term vision for Ali, but that didn't stop him being released. He writes, "People I spoke to in NXT were unhappy about Mustafa Ali's release. They had plans for him until almost WrestleMania season next year. I know a lot of people said, yeah, well, Mustafa Ali asked for his release, 2 years ago. Things change. He was working with Shawn Michaels now. Satisfying stuff. He was working on an injury to make this NXT run happen as well. He was banged up." Ali was said to be very well liked in WWE and was proven to be an excellent addition to the NXT roster, with his enthusiasm for the gold brand proving to be undeniable. Ali will have to wait until December 20th before he can compete again, and whatever plans WWE had for him running up to WrestleMania 40, they'll never make it to TV now.